the first thing I wanted to speak briefly about was my termination. So some of you may know me or know my backstory, but I want to, make a public comment. It's come to my attention lately that some people think I have some mental health issues. So termination. So on June 20th, 2023, I was terminated by the City of Buffalo's Chief Information Officer. I held a provisional title, Open Data and Analytics Project Coordinator. So I served in this provisional appointment for 18 months, from January 2022 to June 2023. And in this role, my main responsibilities, I was the technical lead for the city's open data portal. So data.buffalonewyork.gov is a website that has, all the city's data on it that anyone can access. And I'll get deeper into the website, and it's up there. So the open data portal is a great resource for, everyone in the city. Another one of my responsibilities was I was the technical lead for the city's $2.2 million analytics contract with the SAS Institute. So as part of the Buffalo police reform agenda, we all remember, the summer of 2020 when George Floyd was murdered, and there was a big wave for police reform in the country. The city of Buffalo they created this Buffalo police reform agenda, and item number 10 in that reform agenda was data transparency. So in item 10, data transparency, it said that the city was positioned to enter into a contract with the SAS Institute, and it positioned the city to become one of the most innovative and transparent police departments in the country. So in this role with the city, I was responsible for really being the technical person that sent data over to the SAS Institute. So the city had, I think it was about 60 plus data sets that we would send to the SAS Institute every evening. It was an automation, and results of the SAS Institute, although it was spoken in finance committee meetings that this information would be public. Almost 4 years later now, and the city is currently in the SAS contract. The results of the SAS Institute have not been made public. So the city had 2,080 consulting hours. So those consulting hours expired in April, and now the city just has use of the platform. So I was terminated. The exact language of my letter, which I have here on my website. Mr. Austin, please let this correspondence serve as notification that your provisional appointment to the title of Open Data and Analytics Project Coordinator with the City of Buffalo Management Information Systems is terminated, effective immediately. Please immediately return all city property to 1201 City Hall. An MIS staff member will contact you to arrange a drop-off of any equipment not present at City Hall. Management Information Systems wishes you well in your future employment endeavors elsewhere. So this was the official statement from the City of Buffalo. I was terminated effective immediately, and in my official letter was given no reason. So something I've been auditing is, my termination. Obviously, I was terminated, effective immediately, and so I sent a FOIL with the HR asking about, the city's termination procedures for provisional employees. So this is the result of a FOIL I got. It was from the HR department. So it says, in accordance with Section 65 of New York State Civil Service Law, as well as the City of Buffalo's Classified Rules of Civil Service, Rule Number 16, Section 4, when there is no appropriate list or an existing list contains less than 3 names, the appointing officer may nominate an individual to fill said vacancy. If such nominee meets the minimum qualifications and or requirements of the position, she shall be approved as qualified and may be appointed provisionally to fill such vacancies until a selection appointment can be made after the competitive examination. So the HR statement is provisional appointments may be terminated at any time and are not afforded Section 75 termination proceedings, which are only applicable to permanent employees. So again, the HR, they reference Rule 16.4 of the Buffalo's Classified Civil Service, and then they give a brief description there. So when I looked into Rule 16.4, something they left out, the section on provisional employment, is that the Commissioner of Human Resources shall, for competitive positions within his or her jurisdiction, order a civil service examination for any position held by a provisional appointment for a period of 1 month, and as such shall conduct a civil service examination, or see that such an examination is conducted, as soon as practicable thereafter in order to prevent the provisional appointment from continuing for a period in excess of 9 months. So again, I served in a provisional appointment for 18 months. There was no civil service exam for my title. No exam exists. No exam will ever exist. And this is something that I believe the City Hall is systemically violating. Not only their own civil service rules, but New York State civil service rules. Because provisional appointments, as you saw by HR, they say that they're essentially not given any termination proceedings. So they can be fired at will. So City Hall is intentionally keeping people provisionally so that they can fire them at will, which is what I was, fired at will because they could. So they did. So that's a little bit about my termination. I'll probably get into that more at some point. I filed a couple items with the Common Council since I've been terminated. So item 23-1737, I wrote to the Common Council concerns about the SAS agreement, what I believe is deficient delivery of the SAS Institute. So a couple high-level facts is that the city made 4 payments to the SAS Institute from the general fund for Unified Insights training, totaling over $2.2 million. The last payment was made April 10th, 2023, so last year and 2 months before I was fired. So work products from the SAS general consulting hours. The SAS Institute, they developed an at-risk properties dashboard for the Department of Permanent Inspections, DPIS. They developed an inspector workforce dashboard for DPIS, and there also is a use of force dashboard that the SAS Institute developed. So 3 questions I had is, why have the results of the SAS Institute agreement not been made public? When can citizens expect results of the SAS agreement to be made public? And results has the police department seen? So the Common Council received and filed this item, which essentially says we got your item, but we're going to ignore you. I've also filed 2 other items. Item 23-1839, payroll deduction of union dues authorization form. So the city's collective bargaining agreement with local AFS CME 650 union, which is the union that I was put into. The collective bargaining agreement says that the city should deduct dues if with the signing of a payroll deductions of union dues authorization form. So essentially my item was asking for a copy of my authorization form, which doesn't exist. They couldn't find it. So then I was offered a refund check for my union dues, which I followed up with the Common Council in 23-2125, local 650 refund check for union dues during provisional employment and open data. So I believe that as a policy of the City of Buffalo and Human Resources Controllers, that they're deducting people's union dues without any sort of authorization form. So essentially they take, on the front end, they take your dues, and then on the back end, when you get terminated, they don't provide you representation because provisionals aren't entitled to Article 75 representation. So the question I asked is, how many more terminated provisional employees that were paying dues to 650 also don't have an authorization form, which both these items were just received and filed. And then I was issued a check that bounced from local 650. Not sure why it bounced, but it did. The check was signed by the current president, but the names on the top of the check were Francis Cahill and Michael Drennan, who haven't been in the union for a while. So those are my items. The foils, I have a couple foils that I've filed with the City of Buffalo. Was a foil for the ARP BHAF dashboard. So back in May, the mayor declared and got funding from New York State for the Buffalo East Housing Assistance Fund, and it was the use of these funds. They were going to give relief to homeowners and provide payments for back sewer, user fee, tax, and water bill arrears. So as the open data coordinator, I developed for the Office of Strategic Planning a Power BI dashboard that automated and pulled in all of the arrear information for all city homeowners. And at the time, I was under the assumption, and I was told that it was going to be used to help people, but I fear that the tool I use is now being used to weaponize and target people that are behind on their taxes, because to my knowledge, no funds have been paid out. So something I kind of feel personally I need to bring light to, and I've requested a copy of that dashboard, but I just recently got a 30-day wait from the Office of Strategic Planning. I also requested copies of the SAS dashboards and copies of the use of force data set. So these were things that the SAS Institute developed, and there is a use of force dashboard with the police department, a SAS dashboard. It looks very similar. It's an exact copy paste of the Ventura County Sheriff's SAS dashboard. I can put a link after the podcast on my website to that, but it's a carbon copy. So I asked for copies of those. I also filed a FOIL looking for the open data compliance report. So according to the city's open data policy, there should be an annual open data compliance report every year. And during my time, my 18 months working for the city's open data portal, I'm not aware that any compliance report was developed. I worked there for 18 months and did not publish a single new data set on the open data portal, even though technically I could probably put up 5 a day if I had been given freedom and been empowered to do that. So I was told that the public relations campaign is open for open data portal. So it's part of a kind of restructuring. So another incident I want to bring up and feel like I need to speak because my mental health's been called into question is an open data workshop on December 6th. I was thrown out of it by my former supervisor, who's now the chief innovation officer, Kirk McLean. I was told that my presence made him uncomfortable. And so he essentially made statements to Cornell and PPG, which caused them to ask me to leave the meeting. I left the meeting without incident because I knew implied in that statement, and he had told Cornell and PPG that he would not give the presentation unless I was removed. So implied in that statement, I know, based on my experience at City Hall, is that the police would be called if I didn't leave. So I left without incident because I didn't want the police called. And my gut feeling was confirmed. So I was asked to leave, left without incident. And also, as you know, December 21st, I was listed as a petitioner in a lawsuit against the city of Buffalo. So there's a link to it on my website, but essentially the city violated and the Common Council violated the city charter to give themselves a pay raise. So again, when Scanlon said that the charter is a guiding light, it's kind of comical because they ignore the guiding light when it's convenient and they also follow it when it's convenient. So one example, there's no evidence that a board of review. So the board of review is the mayor, the council president, and the comptroller are supposed to meet and appoint the citizens commission that comes up with a report that recommends pay raises or not. And there's no evidence that meeting ever met. That's just one example, but there's many items of how the city violated the charter, which I can get deeper into at some point, but it's another thing. This all led up to a Christmas Eve surprise. So this past Christmas Eve, 3 members of the Buffalo Police Department's behavioral health unit showed up at my house to do a mental health evaluation. So I won't speak to my mental health. I'll let you be the judge of whether my mental health is stable or not. But someone, I don't know who, was concerned about my mental health and my escalating behaviors, which can be interpreted several ways. I don't know. I'm still kind of processing it. But yeah, 3 members of the Buffalo Police Department showed up at my house. Here's a picture. This was Christmas Eve. I was detailing my parents' car as a Christmas gift and was surprised. The BHE website says they work Monday to Friday, but for some reason they came to my house on a Sunday and investigated. So 3 members of the behavioral health unit showed up to my house, and that's a quick overview of Austin Audits. So thank you for tuning in. We're going to close with some good old Woody Guthrie. All you fascists are bound to lose. Our city's, we're facing my experience too is I'm fighting, and I can't fight this by myself, but we're fighting a plague of fascism. I call it fascism, which is kind of a combination of the SAS Institute and fascism. So fascists and fascism is something I'm not cool with, and I think, yeah. So Woody Guthrie, he's given me inspiration, so we'll close the end of the show with a song of his, All You Fascists Bound to Lose. Enjoy, and thank you for tuning in.
Put it there, boy, and we'll show these fascists what a couple of hillbillies can do. Well, I'm going to tell you, fascists, you may be surprised. People people in this world are getting organized. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose.
All you fascists bound to lose.
I said,
All you fascists bound to lose.
yes, sir.
All you fascists bound to lose. You're bound to lose. You fascists bound to lose.
There's people of every nation marching side by side, marching across the fields where a million fascists died. You're bound